So hi, Tim.
Hi.
What great of you to take a few minutes in your busy time. So Tim heads up the customer contact centre or customer experience centre at RedBalloon. And right now we are literally taking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls. Yet here you are, cool, calm and collected, not looking frazzled at all. That tells me you know how to set priorities.
Look, it's actually nice to take 5 minutes away from the madness that is the RedBalloon contact centre at Christmas time. But yes, you're right. It is all about making sure that you are doing the right things at the right time.
Yeah. You know, I thought it would be great to speak to Tim when we're talking about priority this month, because Tim's background is very interesting, and then coming to RedBalloon, I think you think is it easy street? But you know, one thing I'm very aware of is that the experience somebody has with us today needs to be exactly the same as when we're not busy. So that consistency of brand voice. But let's talk a little bit about you. Now, before you came to RedBalloon, you were working in a different sort of industry and also running a contact centre. So tell us about what you did and some of the challenges you faced.
Yeah, sure. So previously I was working in a large corporate company, a large insurer in Queensland. And I was very fortunate. I started out there while studying at university in a customer service role, and was fortunate to have some opportunities to develop and grow there. Worked my way up, and most recently had been in a contact centre manager role, managing their retention call centre. And then following on from that...
So that's customers coming back? Is that what you mean by
customers coming back, or us trying to save customers that are potentially going to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, they might leave us, what can we do, how can we support them? So that's right at the pointy end.
Exactly.
But being in insurance, I guess you had some really tough conversations, especially in Queensland with natural disasters, I'm thinking.
Yes, so living in Queensland, we would definitely probably, we say we're lucky up there, but when it comes to cyclones and storms, definitely get hit hard by those. So look, there are a number of times, and we go through a lot of training with our team to be prepared for those kind of catastrophe situations where we do see a large influx of calls. We've got some emergency management strategies in place, and it becomes all hands on deck. Everyone sort of drops what they're doing, regardless of whether they work in the contact centre there or not. Everyone kind of gets involved and makes sure that we're serving our customers.
Yeah. So does that mean you have latency or people available so that when an overwhelming situation arises, that there is enough arms and legs?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So depending on how large it is, we will sometimes get some temporary staff in. But we were very fortunate. The business I was working at had a policy of where they would like to grow their talent from within. So a lot of people from around the business actually started out in the contact centre.
Not dissimilar to you, by the way.
No. I've unfortunately lost plenty of people to other parts of this business.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you for the training and our fabulous people throughout the business who are so customer-centric, so I think that's amazing. So when it does come to endless customer issues, calls and emails, how do you prioritise? Now, it's Christmas at RedBalloon and the sheer quantity of people that we're talking to, but how do you set priorities of what's important, where you spend your time?
Look, probably the first thing that I do, anytime a task comes in, I run it through the does this add any value filter. So what I would probably look at is, obviously we have goals as a business that we want to achieve. My team have goals that we want to achieve, and I personally have goals that I want to achieve. So essentially when something comes in, something comes up, I run that through the filter. Is that going to add any value to us achieving what we need to? And that's how it will, I guess, take its place on the priority list. I'll always have a plan. Everyone in a contact centre, and it's probably not unique to a contact centre environment either, but always have a plan. So I've planned out my day, whether it be meetings. I plan out when I'm just having me time, so that can be responding to emails, it can be ticking off, some of those administrative must-dos that we all have, but often don't get time for because other things happen during the day. Obviously, Christmas at RedBalloon, customers are our priority. There's loads and loads of them. But at the same time, often I will put the team in the top spot. And the reason I say that I guess the team becomes a priority is because they're the ones that are actually servicing our customers and looking after them and making sure that they're getting the right experiences that they're looking to purchase and getting them out on those experiences. So looking at things like keeping them engaged, motivated, making sure they've got a really great, fun, supportive environment to work in, that kind of takes top spot.
That's great. We do have a particularly energetic team this year, very much so, because when Christmas elves come, we have to bolster. But how do you get consistency of voice? When effectively we have a whole heap of people who come with us for about 3 months.
Yeah, it is challenging.
Yeah.
We have a very limited time frame in which to onboard and train our new staff and get them to the same level as the permanent staff that have been here for years. It really starts with onboarding and recruiting. So getting in the right people. When we are recruiting for those Christmas casual staff that come in, we're looking just as much for personality as we are for skill. And people that are going to be able to live and breathe our brand message. Then from there on in, the onboarding process and all the subsequent coaching and training needs to reflect the message that we want them to then be passing on to our customers.
That's really great. I'm really clear that what you said is you as the leader, you as the manager of that team, is looking after the team, then they're able to look after our customers. So your job is really to nurture them, make sure they're growing, make sure they're living our values and being on message. Absolutely get it. When listening to customers, though, often calls will get escalated to you. Have to speak to the manager, that's you.
Yes.
But sometimes it's me, by the way. I'm always there. In fact, I, many, many years have been part of this team. And what I do love about sitting right there, apart from getting the real-time customer feedback, is that the day disappears. So I get why you have to plan out your day and structure it, because literally you sit down and then at some point you go, I'm really hungry, and you realise it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you haven't stopped at all. So you're so sophisticated. We just used to go in there and not come out until night time. But in listening to customers, how do you perceive a real issue versus a perceived one? Now, I say this because sometimes people really just are upset, or they're angry, or they're whatever, and there's a whole lot of emotion sits around it versus the functional thing of what happened.
Yeah. I suppose whether it's a real issue or a perceived issue, that issue is real for that customer.
Yeah, get it.
So I think in terms of managing to fit it in my day, speaking to the customers, it's about setting expectations with them. I can't always, there's only one of me, I can't always be available to take every single in that moment. Yeah. So I think it's about making sure that the customer understands that their issue is important, and then ensuring that we follow up with them in the right time frame, and that may not be immediately. And my team are getting really good at, I guess, setting expectations with the customer about the time it's going to take for us to get them a response.
Yeah. I've always found that even just acknowledging the time that it's taken for somebody to give that feedback is as equally important. Now, we've been making some material changes at RedBalloon based on customer feedback, things that we've never done before. In fact, the toughest conversations that we ever have is about expiry, when people expire it. I hate them because the way we grew RedBalloon was people went off on experiences and talked about it. Well, if they leave it in a drawer, they're never going to talk about it, so that's not good for me and not good for promotion.
Correct.
But how has that been in terms of, feedback in your team? Have you had any feedback, the fact that we've now extended vouchers to 3 years?
Some feedback.
Yeah.
So, look, customers are really happy. I think you're right, that the toughest conversations that we do have, and probably the biggest reason that calls get escalated to me are around expired vouchers. So the 3-year expiry period is going to be a great thing for customers, whether they realise it right now at the point of purchase, but I think that the point we're really going to realise that value that the 3-year expiry has will be in 3 years' time.
Yeah. I love it, and I'm really glad we did it, even though it took us, it was hard to execute systems-wise. I'm really glad that we did do it. And the other thing that we've done is really have a look at these credit card fees. So, I don't like it when I go to buy coffee and they say, there's an extra $1 because it seems like...
Hang on card.
Yeah. Nobody likes to do it, but it has a material impact to the bottom line. So have you had any feedback since we've lifted those credit card fees altogether?
Yes.
What do they say?
Loads of positive feedback about that.
Really?
So it was actually quite surprising that we knew our customers didn't necessarily like the fees. We used to capture post-purchase feedback. But obviously we get charged that fee by the merchant. So the customers that we have spoken to that have purchased with us before and are now coming back to purchase again, all comment on the fact that it is so great now that you don't have fees. It hasn't stopped us from purchasing with you in the past because you do offer a really great product, but now that you don't have fees, I'm going to be recommending you.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we spend so much time promoting the brand and promoting the business, and then right at that pivotal point, $1 or whatever, is it going? When we spent so much finding the customer, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess the reason why I wanted to talk about those two issues in the context of priorities is these were two particular areas in our business that we were no-go. Like these are this is how we do business. It's a 12-month voucher, and we pass on the cost of merchant fees. So in looking at how we prioritise the customer experience, we've said, what if there was no restraints? What are the toughest things, and what would it be like if we just gave them up? And we're giving it a crack. It does, who knows how we're going to go into the new year. Yep. Obviously, we're not rolling back 3 years. That's here now forever, because it has to be. And because we love it for our customers. But I suspect in working in your businesses, what are the things that you think are the must-haves or that can't be negotiated, or you're never going to do this? And could you flip that from a customer's perspective? So prioritising that customer experience has been incredible since I came back into the business. It's just what would a customer say, what would a customer say, and what do we have to give up ourselves? Look, we've got a whole bunch more questions. Mentoring. So you've got a lot of young people. I notice on most contact centres they say this call will be recorded for... Do we actually use those for training purposes?
We do.
Oh, well, that's good to know. It might have just been a burpee, but we do. So what do? Do you pick out calls? How do you use those calls?
Yeah, so we do. I guess we use a range of different techniques.
Yeah.
When it comes to coaching, so sometimes we'll listen live and sit with the consultant and give them real-time feedback. Mm-hmm. Some people respond really well to that. Other people would prefer to listen to their call afterwards. It gives a much different perspective. Sometimes the person that you're coaching doesn't necessarily realise that they are saying or doing something that is either not in the customer's best interests or not in the business's best interest, or it's something that's either ineffective or not productive. Yeah. So it gives you a whole different perspective when you listen to that call back as the consultant. People can take a lot away from that.
I really enjoy when you ask me into the team and we do
call listening.
We do call listening, and we also do kind of coaching.
Yeah.
What Tim asks of his team is that everybody brings their toughest customer conversations and how would I handle it. And I think A, people like my availability and accessibility, but B, they also hear in terms of brand voice, so they can be just saying the same thing but using slightly different words, and it kind of occurs differently versus. And particularly around those tough conversations.
Yeah.
So that's really great.
Yeah.
So in kind of summary, and if there was 3 kind of recommendations or suggestions you have to other business owners, what would it be in terms of setting priorities? What are kind of 3 things that you've learned, the takeaways? What would they be?
3 things. First thing would definitely be to have a plan.
Okay.
Whether you plan out your day, your week, your month, whatever it might be. And have the discipline to stick to it where you can.
Yeah.
There are always going to be things that come up that need your urgent attention, but having a plan, if you've got it blocked out in your calendar or whatever you might use to organise your day, then if it doesn't happen on that day, it moves to the next day, and that way it doesn't automatically get missed. And I think you need to be okay with the fact that not everything's going to go to plan. So you can have the best intentions and the best plan that just doesn't ever come to fruition.
So it's discipline while being flexible.
Yeah.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other tips?
Yeah, so I mentioned sort of employees first. You really need to take care of your people, because they are the ones essentially at the end of the day that are going to help you achieve whatever goals you have. So creating the right work environment, making sure you're motivating them in the way that they would like, is going to get you the best results.
We've had some incredible feedback of how our team members have really sorted out gifting for, like literally done all of the Christmas gifting for someone. Incredible feedback and how well they know the product. So that allows them to be with customers and have that time with them.
Yep.
And what's it? Any other one you want to finish up with?
probably, as I mentioned before, probably the value filter. I think every time you go to spend some time on something, really have a think about how is this going to be contributing to the overall big picture, and how is that going to get me the results that I need.
Yeah, so that's keeping the North Star in mind and making sure
Exactly.
you're working towards that strategically. I think that's really important. Now, as a special, you know, I've put this out there before, but Tim and his team, the gorgeous Fallon and Des and who else is there, I think?
Sammy, Maddie.
Yeah, but we're here to support. It's quite noisy. That would be the CEO running past, wondering what on earth we're doing. We're talking all things customers, and if he doesn't be careful, I'll put him on. He's running now. But we are here to support you in the huddle. If you want us to do your Christmas gifting for you, I think we're going to even give you a promo code, actually. Why don't we put that in the link if we get to it?
Yes.
But it is 1300 875500.
Very good.
Oh, everyone's so
Look at
proud of
you
me
go.
now. 1300 875500 if you want us to help with your gifting. But in the meantime, think about how you're setting priorities. And with summer coming, I hope you do have some time for yourself to plan your future. How do you want to experience this time next year? What is going to be your 2018 priorities? Tim, you are a delight. I'm so proud to have you as my colleague. I love the work you do. Thank you for being such an incredible red ballooner.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it. And huddlers, I might pop in one more time before Christmas because we are still pushing really hard in the red balloon business. But otherwise, have a very safe and wonderful season. Thank you.